Well, hello there and welcome back. Probably finally, if you ask Morph, because I think in the last match when it was like 3-0, Morph was getting kind of ready, and then things happened for Hit and Run and W. What are your thoughts on what we just saw there?
Yeah, I was going through my routine. I was getting ready. 3-0, hit and run. Oh, should probably get ready to start casting again, and somehow W did what would probably be the impossible, which was the reverse sweep, it was kind of bonkers to watch. No one really saw that coming, and it's just like W, the kind of team with the sort of patchy form that they have. They seem completely hopeless, they seem lost, and then suddenly they're just able to turn it on, make some magic happen, and they keep their tournament hopes alive.
Indeed, and now two teams that are looking kind of better in terms of points, but not out of the woods yet, are Cashback and Mafia, who are going to be playing this third and last EU match for today on the stream. But after that, obviously, NA is going to be continuing. Yeah, Cashback against Mafia. I mean, Cashback had sort of a slow start into the OLS, has been able to, you know, kind of get back into things better as things go on, kind of like Hit and Run. Although Hit and Run today, I mean, weird performance. What do you make of the coming match?
Well, Cashback are the informed team. They're on an excellent run of match wins. They've won 6 in a row, and the only 2 games that they have lost were in tiebreaker as well, so they have a pretty great record across the board here. I believe a win today with 4 points would secure them into the playoff stage. They were at the top of the leaderboard, of course, before the game started today, but both Mafia and Cashback, and indeed the rest of the teams, after that W performance, you know, it kind of looked like it was going one way, where Solyanka and W were just going to drop out of the race to these playoff positions, but now they're going to be looking over their shoulder and just trying to hang on.
Yeah, and kind of if you're W, you just hope that whoever wins between those two today ends up winning, you know, all the other matches as well. So they take a lot of points away from the teams that are still in danger of getting overtaken. So, for example, W probably holding it here with Cashback right now, just because of the standings. And oof, community prediction. I mean, yes, Cashback are on a roll, but 83%, that is a lot against a team of Mafia that have looked very dangerous at times as well.
Yeah, Cashback with a lot of backing from the community, but like I said, I don't think that's really too much surprise. Mafia are perhaps the dark horses of the competition. We see here Q Little doing an average of 3.7k damage, but look at that pen rate, 96%. That is quite the statistic to be putting up in a competitive tournament. But back to what you were saying, from W's point of view, they need it to be a blowout, one way or the other, right? And because Cashback are the team that's currently got more points, it would be preferable for them that Cashback win this 4-0, right? And get the 4 points. They don't let Mafia get anything, and that shouldn't be too hard for them to be supporting Cashback, because they actually have a 10th member by the name of Got You Baby. He has been quite the cheerleader of the Cashback team, just spamming away in the chat, going Pim Pam, Tiki-Taka, Tiki-Taka, Bebra, go, all of that stuff.
Yeah, that remains to be seen. Phase 1 scores, we do see it was a close affair in the first phase of the OLS, with Cashback getting the better end of it, 3-2 tiebreaker victory, so no points to be had for Mafia against Cashback yet. They obviously want to make up for it here in phase number 2, and meanwhile Cashback, they want to keep that clean record against Mafia, although obviously this time tiebreaker victory would mean handing over 1 point. But I think Cashback would be kind of fine with taking 3 here, but obviously if they can, they will go for 4. And Mafia are coming in with an RHM, a Bliskowitz, TVP, interesting choice, alright. No Bliska actually, it does get switched for a second 277 and double 50B.
Meanwhile, Cashback are bringing an EBR, a Foch B, CS63, Batcha 25, double BZ75, and a 50B. So EBR, we have seen that on Cliff before. Obviously, it doesn't have the plane ability, so he's got to do some kind of aggressive spotting run in the beginning, which will allow his team to react to anything that's presented. TVP being quite a rare pick these days on Cliff.
Yeah, it's kind of a rare pick, but when it really gets rolling, it's kind of like the bat shot, that all of a sudden that thing in your sight that does 4 shots of damage in each clip if you aim it correctly ends up getting incredible amounts of DPM. Let's see if that's going to be the case. Cashback are going to be very passive with that 50B and the Foch on the lower side, but that is because they want to shoot in towards YOLO and Conrad here. The shots are going to start pouring in from the lower side, and YOLO here takes 1200 immediately to the face. That's going to face Liberty up on that hill now, and this is Moy Mafia pulling the trigger against the partly clipped out tanks on Cashback here on that 1-2 line. Little already down to 484, and Marcel and Orzek double teaming on towards Twilight now as well in that Foch B. This is a good start for Mafia, but can they keep it going?
Yeah, but they're going to lose the 2 tanks on the hill. YOLO will fall shortly, and Comrade is not long for this world either. So they pick up the 2 tanks on lower side, but now they don't have any map control available to them. So Cashback will be able to take all of the positions away. Comrade is going to do his best to try and survive for as long as possible, but Barbarian does not care. He will just torpedo into him.
Indeed, Conrad getting chased away for the time being, and 627 means he's a likely one-shot for the likes of Barbarian here. And 4 tanks still for Cashback with a lot of HP. Good job by Barbarian to pick up Conrad, so making the HP disadvantage, or rather the gun disadvantage, a little bit less in Mafia's favor. Now he's going to be trying to cling to the side of the mountain.
Can he get back?
I am not entirely sure. I think so.
With Rocket Boost, he may be able to get back, and he does so. But he's still in a very awkward position here as Mafia look to repush middle. Barbarian's going to be hard-pressed to try and find any kind of effectiveness in this game. Liberty was actually out of the fight in the EBR. He died early on, very surprisingly, and Mafia looked to have found another overmatch here as Orzek overpeaks in middle, trying to do the clips in the 50Bs. Barbarian is trying to come back into the fight now. They're actually focusing different guns out here. They should just delete the BZ of Eyes, and he does fall now. The HP now in favor of Cashback, but the guns in the game are with Mafia right now, and Aka is isolated. Kono looks to go towards him, but he changes his mind. He turns the boat around, and they're going to go on towards Barbarian because, of course, he's isolated in the middle. Orzek ramming him, perhaps, but not the good idea before reload, and Squeezy trying to get back in towards the middle, but doesn't have great shots.
Yeah, indeed, and now there is a lot of, crossfire coming in from Cashback, but from not a lot of tanks anymore. Bark is surviving on but a one-shot together with Orzek, very low as well, and Profuse might actually be caught out here. He can only stay safe from one of those tanks, either Aka or the Batchat. Now, however, he is reloaded, so he could extract a toll for getting picked up here, but now 3 tanks in the cap, only one of them one strikeable for Squeezy, who's picking up that strike in the Batchat, but that obviously means his whereabouts are going to be known, and this means that cap does get evacuated for Mafia. Instead, they're sending Kono Aka's way, and I think, Moff, that is the correct decision. The ram towards 21 HP. Aka trying to stay alive, but he does get rammed off. It's a 4 versus 1.
Yeah, good decision there from Kono. Obviously, once the strike has been taken, he knows exactly where he is, so he's just going to drive up and over into him, and that leaves Squeezy in the 1v4 situation. Technically, it's still possible because there's 3 one-shots here, so if he can isolate the 1v1s and have managed to avoid Kono, technically he can make something happen, but his whereabouts is already known here, so the tanks are going to converge towards him, and Squeezy, he's got Orzek right above him. Barkis is just waiting there for Kono to join the fight. They don't want to risk anything by going down to the Batchat early. They're just going to wait for Kono to come up and over the ridge and secure the round.
And now Squeezy does find the whereabouts of Profuse, but good shot coming out, pre-aiming the angle, and Barkis, I believe, to shot it out here. Mafia are going to pick up a hard-fought first round here. It's going to be 1-0 with, I would say, a little bit favored team getting kind of surprised. And I think Mafia, they just found the correct responses to what Cashback was doing, especially like on the lower side, because the people that were going up on towards the hill, for example, the RHM, were like, yo, that must be 2 tanks on lower, 2 autoloaders, and they partly clipped out. So they should be free for the picking, and that was indeed exactly what happened.
Yeah, I think the confusing thing for me that round was that Liberty managed to die on the hill in the EBR. I understand that he's going to be under pressure from the RHM and the CS. They're always going to try and focus him out, but it was a bit surprising that he managed to fall in that situation. And I thought it was going to favor Cashback in the end game because, of course, Mafia were going to be stuck on the bottom side with everyone, but they managed to make it work, and they were able to re-push into mid relatively unspotted, right? They didn't even take damage for driving back in towards the middle of the map, and you can see where the damage is done. Orzhik doing 4.8k in that 50B.
The role of the favorite, at least in the eyes of the casters and also in the community predictions, very clearly defined, but so far that perceived favorite falling short.
Yeah, I'm kind of not just off of the back of this first round, but I was kind of regretting my decision to predict Mafia to win, Cashback to win in such a convincing manner, because I feel like Mafia are the underrated team in the league, really. They've had like pretty solid results on the whole, and they haven't had complete blowout defeats really either. And of course, last week they beat Storm 4-1, so
yeah, the double 60 TP, not something you usually see on Cliff, just because that tank is kind of slow. And now the plane coming out from YOLO is going to net them almost full information. 5 tanks spotted on the side of Cashback. The only 2 that are not are the RHM and the CS, I do believe. As YOLO and Liberty should be trading out spots here in the middle of the map rather soonish. Ooh, the 60 TPs, at least one of them with a very good HE connection, 1k plus. That's gonna hurt.
That's important as well, because it means Liberty will be winning the 1v1, so YOLO cannot go up the hill and try to fight in towards him. Twilight's gonna get the strike as well, and maybe Cashback want to focus that strike on towards YOLO so they can get rid of him as soon as possible and eliminate any kind of threat that Mafia have on the hill here, because YOLO is kind of the anchor, he's kind of the linchpin. No one else on their team is really in any position. You've got a Batchat on the K-line, and YOLO's time in this battle looks to be limited. Liberty with a cheeky poke on towards him as well. He's got to drop down further on the hill and try and tuck into the safe position, but even when he goes into that angle, they can still find shots on him.
Yeah, let's see. YOLO in a dire spot here. And now Mafia, they somehow need to respond. And indeed, they're doing so. They have taken the donut area, but they're also sending one of those 277s around to the northern part of the map. However, Cap has been started, and Mafia only have a single strike available to them. YOLO obviously did, I think, get planed by the RHM that is behind him. Only has really Conrad to support him, but now Mafia realize that they are in backwards positions right now. We do see the repush coming in, but they're actually this time, for the first time today, a repush in towards the middle of Cliff does get heavily punished. Now they do stop the Cap for that, but at what cost? Because Bark is in the lower left, as you can see, completely got caught off guard and does get completely eliminated. Twilight, same fate actually happening to him. So the response is coming out from Mafia, but Cashback with the HP just so much ahead.
Yeah, they have a massive HP lead here, so they can afford to just push forward and try and trade it out. These 60 TPs are going to tank the damage, so Squeezy and Barbarian in the bat chats can just push in and do the clips, and that's what they're doing. Marcel is going to be the focus along with Profuse underneath the hill, and there's just not enough damage output from tanks like Orzhik to really stop this push from coming through. YOLO is still alive on the hill, but there's not very much that can be done to help his team out here, and I think this game was pretty much lost on the opening plays. Liberty now getting sandwiched. That's Kono getting sandwiched in between Eyes and Liberty in the RHM. And Cashback hitting back with one of their own. They're going to tie the score up 1-1.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, Liberty, they're trying to style on YOLO, trying to kill him while he was up in the air, but the shot didn't connect. So now Squeezy, the next one that will try to do so, and YOLO, realistically, he's just trying to waste time here, but it's gonna be cut short. Squeezy, with the quicker trigger fingers, is going to equalize it 1-1 on Cliff.
Yeah, it was a very solid round from Cashback. Mafia, YOLO was just isolated in the beginning. I think we know now why, maybe why the 60 TPs were brought, because they can hit the RHM going up the hill with a nice HE shell. which allowed Liberty to win the 1v1 situation fairly cleanly without even really having to fight at all, actually. But those double 60 TPs in middle, they did a pretty good job of just being there, being healthy tanks that Mafia couldn't really overpush with any ease. And they also overpushed in the north with the double bat as well. And this is like the perfect score that you want to see, right? The bat chats on top, doing all the damage, picking up the kills, 60 TPs on the bottom, high impact gameplay. I think there's some interesting things going on. One being, like you said, the team that goes into the cap, they're trying to bait the opponent to coming close so they can kill them. But the team that plays for the surround control, they've gotten better at doing the default reactions like, okay, you go here for the strike, I go here, we send an E3 from the inside of the courtyard to go and block the cap. But because that's become the default, the team that goes for the aggression has gotten a lot better at countering it, and that goes both ways, right? So the team's just evolving their understanding of how the map is played, because Pilsen, of course, it's not a traditional map in Water Tanks competitive, right? It's only ever really been seen in Onslaught.
All right, that being said, the cap bait and switch not getting used by Cashback this time at least, because they're sending a lot of their assets towards the eastern part of the map. Really only the EBR here on the other side to try and find any kind of information, but so far Liberty realistically not finding a whole lot. No spots as of now, and we even have that little hit squad of Squeezy and Little with the double batcher driving all the way through the back. That being said though, Cashback, a lot of their tanks getting found now, and Liberty maybe even, you know, a little bit too far. Ooh, catches a good timing, is gonna get out there unscathed for the time being. But that is a very, very unusual way to play the map for either team.
Yeah, he thought there was no one in the city because he went so far into it and then didn't see anything. And I think that's why the bat chats from Cashback went all the way around the back into spawn. But they are committing down the 0 line now, and it is just one bat chat of Kono. He is spotting this, however, so he should be able to run away on time.
I mean, does he see this actually? I don't really think so. This might be detrimental for Kono here. He's going to be up against Little and Squeezy. The first shot of Little does go wide, however, as Squeezy connects his first one. But Kono, he really needs to book it out of there. He has Conrad as a possible support, but now Kono taking 2 more shots here. Conrad is going to arrive another 2 in towards Kono here, and I don't think they're really going to care about Conrad here. They are going to try and take out Kono at what cost, however. Conrad going to be the focus for Little, as Kono finally able to deal damage against Squeezy, and YOLO is going to come in as well. I believe Conrad should have the pickup against Little here. Marcel with the V4 to finish it off, but this is still a free-for-all. Cashback, however, they've bled more.
Yeah, I think a bit of miscommunication between the double bat of Cashback there. They thought they had the overmatch and they just kept on going. Mafia pick up the kill, so they're a gun up, and they're down, up in HP as well, actually. And Barbarian has gone down to a one-shot in the Wheezy TD, which is very surprising. Squeezy now flanking YOLO in the bat chat, but he should fall for this trade. He might not even be able to pick up the kill of YOLO, who's gone into the low ground there. He does fall to Squeezy, who dies shortly afterwards.
He does get the high roll pickup on towards the RHM, but now Conrad once again starting to clip out before he does get shut down. So finally the guns are equal here, but Barbarian down towards a one-shot as well, and Profuse is driving towards him with the Juggernaut ability active. Some of the shots bouncing on top of him, but Barbarian does fall as well. And now Liberty, it's a big problem for him that he doesn't really have the DPM that he would need. Twilight is going to book it on towards the corner that Kono is sitting in, but doesn't really have the damage to pick him up here. I said with a swing and a miss as well in the backside, and now Kono starting to drive on towards Twilight. But in the meantime, Aka gets shut down. Ozek finds the kill on Twilight as well. And this is how it does crumble for Cashback, because Mafia once again going to be putting themselves up around.
Yeah, they did not get the impact that they would have wanted from Liberty in the EBR. The info was not there like at the beginning of the game, and that was a pretty big problem for them, because those batchats just overcommitted into that fight. But the really interesting question I have is what happened to Barbarian's HP. I'm trying to wonder where he was in the Wheezy. I believe he had gone towards the field at the start of the game, and maybe he just took a lot of damage trying to cross back towards the middle of the map. But him being on a one-shot meant that there was no trade-off that was going to be provided from his team.
Yeah, I think I saw him at some point in like D4-5, and at that point he was already pretty low, so somewhere on that way back, I think Barbarian lost a lot of HP, and now Liberty trying to do what he can with that little EBR. But, you know, the line of bushes at some point there is gonna end. He cannot really go further, and he knows that behind him Marcel is on the approach, but Mafia, they're capping this one anyway. The Siren is going to confirm what we already know, that Cashback is going to lose this round. Cap all and kill is going to be the name of the game, as Mafia are going to make it 2-1.
Yeah, Mafia very competitive in this game, going up, taking the lead. Another thing I was interested about in that game is the double bat chat when they pushed down the zero line. I'm surprised they weren't spotted earlier. Not just by Kono, but normally the position behind the house where you have a bush, the balcony area, that should be able to spot through a gap in the bush.
There
line.
was no one in that position.
Yeah,
and I think that's how the bat chats got so far. But I think once again, you know, like the dwarves in Moria, they dug too deep, they went too far, and ended up completely getting torn asunder by the secondary bat chat of Mafia that was being rotated, plus the RHM that ended up even being unlucky and getting high rolled. And yeah, Conrad there, 5.4k damage in his bat chat. For him, it was a good game. Not so much for Little, who only gets 1600 and immediately fell towards the crossfire that he was driving into. And round number 4, in between Mafia and Cashback. Mafia looking to go towards the match point. 60 TP, double bat chat, double V4, 1E3, and the Rheinmetall.
Meanwhile, Cashback are bringing a 60 TP, double T57 heavy, double bat chat, and double V4. So everyone gets a friend apart from Aka in the 60 TP. T57 Heavy is an interesting choice. We've seen it being picked on Murovanka of all maps, but T57 Heavy has this wonderful clip and DPM, but it's limited by the fact that it's quite slow, needs to be played at close range, which would definitely indicate that Cashback are going to play towards the 1-2 line of the map. They're all spotted out though, or 5 of them are spotted out, so the aggression is noted from Mafia.
Indeed, the RHM of YOLO placing a very, very good plane there to spot out everyone. And I think then even the respot coming through with the information tower. And Cashback are actually not looking to cap it
straight through.
They are just trying to drive straight through. Now, is that the play to go for is the question, because tanks of Mafia are here and are ready to receive, as Little is going to take the artillery strike, but no cap pressure as of yet by Cashback. They just want to get this one done with the overpush. The T-57s clipping in towards the back of Marcel that does manage to drive around the corner to eagle eyes the T-57s.
Yeah, Marcel doing a good job to get out of the way there, get out of the line of sight of the T-57s, who didn't manage to find a kill on anyone there, so that's really bad. Little now getting repushed. That's Barkis who's teaming up with Kono. They're going to go into the 2v1 situation there. Little is going to get some support from Squeezy, but I think it's a little bit too late here, as Little's already down to 500 HP, but Cashback are still pushing in. They're forcing the situation with everyone. They're bringing the T-57 heavies over. Meanwhile, Mafia are trading out in the middle. YOLO and Comrade are going to pick up Aka, so both teams finding overmatches.
Both teams finding overmatches. Let's see if Squeezy finds Barkis. That's not going to be the case. So for the time being, that V4 is going to survive on rather low HP. But keep in mind, he has the Juggernaut ability active. Does he get the ram? No. Good juke coming out from Squeezy. That's all but reloaded here. And in comes the damage. So it's not going to matter for him. He does get the pickup on that V4 once again. The HP are kind of even, the guns are kind of even, but the T-57s by Cashback still taking damage here. Barbarian very, very low, and that might come to hurt them later. But Conrad, not that healthy either. It's the RHM and the 60 TP for Mafia that currently hold the HP. Those are the playmakers.
Yeah, 60 TP of Profuse just got all of the health pretty much for Mafia here. They've still got YOLO full HP in the RHM, which is pretty useful. Squeezy collecting a strike once again. But you can see Mafia are just trying to close the net as best they can, but they don't really have the tanks to spread themselves so thin across the map. You'd have to imagine Mafia at some point are just going to group up and push, but that's a great shot by Profuse on towards Squeezy. That's going to put him down to low HP. Ice is going to respond to this, though. The T-57 of Barbarian is there as well. Barbarian needs to be careful because he's a one-shot. Profuse will look to try and find that kill.
Indeed, but Profuse decides to go on for the shot on towards the T-57 behind him. Liberty. Profuse is playing this one beautifully. He is not getting caught out, but the same is not true for Ozek, who does end up falling here. Profuse now down towards one shot, but he gets the kill before he dies. All of a sudden, 2 versus 3 situation, and Cashback with a lot more HP here to play with. They have managed to keep double T-57 alive, and those tanks can be so dangerous to play into. Conrad is realizing this with that 402 HP Batchat, possible 50-50 for the T-57s, as well as YOLO is going to start taking one of the artillery strikes, but no one is actually one strikeable on the team of Cashback.
Yeah, but he can make Barbarian a one-shot so that Comrade is able to pick up the kill, but Comrade is stuck in this corner of the map. He was not able to get out of the situation, and that makes all the difference here. But Comrade puts in a shot into Barbarian. That might have been the strike being placed from YOLO. I'm not exactly sure. Now Kono trying to do the best he can to get out of the situation. He may have found a gap in which he can escape. Liberty is not poking around the corner, so Comrade critically has managed to get out of this situation. He also has low noise exhaust, which is extremely powerful on the Batchat. It means he can get pretty close to them without even being lit here. So this game is not over. The HP and the guns, of course, favoring Cashback, but the mobility and ability to rotate around the map is very much with Mafia.
Yeah, indeed. We do see one clip medium and a light tank against a double clip heavy tank plus a Juggernaut TD. However, crucially, Mafia do not have any strike capabilities whatsoever. This means that they need to get close to prevent this cap from completing, and they need to get a kill as well to first of all equalize the amount of kills that either team have. Now, YOLO does take a first asset here, and that is going to be the point of information. Now he's going to go towards the second one, that is the strike. First of all, I think he's going to take the second information tower. No, the double cap actually does start getting forced here by the tanks of Cashback. Now it's up to Conrad to provide those crucial resets. Will he be able to? I'm not entirely sure. He seems to be not sure himself either. He has to come close. He has to drive on towards the rubble pile, but Liberty is already aiming there, and now he does peek. He bounces his shot, the long intra clip of the Batchat, the second bounce, and Cashback are going to equalize the scoreline. It's going to be 2-2.
They both missed. YOLO and Comrade both peaked at the same time, and they were not able to connect either of their shots, and that really was the difference maker. If they got that reset, they would have had time to disengage and go back, collect the strikes, but they just didn't connect their shots right at the end, and that's what makes the difference.
That's what makes the difference, but to be honest, I'm not entirely unhappy about it. This means that we are just going to get more rounds in between both of those teams that so far seem to be fairly evenly matched. Splitting 2 maps now, and I think this was kind of the closest round in between all of them. But obviously with the better end for Cashback, so they must be happy with themselves for now, though.
Kind of like Pilsen, it's a bit weird where you have this offside play and how that ties into the cap. But we've seen these teams play against each other on this map before. It was in the tiebreaker in Phase 1, and I remember Mafia getting quite the hammering. They had a CS63 in the hole for the strike, and he just got repushed by all of the V4s from Cashback. So Mafia, you would imagine that they've learned from that experience, that they're not going to bring CSs into the hole anymore. They're actually going to bring double light. They're bringing the T100, so they're copying what we've seen from Storm earlier, an E4, E3, 430U, Batchat, and a 60TP.
And for Cashback, kind of a hit-and-run-esque lineup, simply because of that MVY that we saw once Piotr play. Together with double 277, a Batchat 25T, and triple V4. So the most important thing to note here is we are seeing double light against 0. Cashback are going to be very much favored in like the in-your-face shootout scenario. But the longer this game goes, the more information that Mafia are going to get. And with information comes map control. With map control comes crossfire. And with crossfire comes HP advantage at some point in time that currently obviously is still held by Cashback just because they don't have any light tanks. Good shot here by Orzek into a non-juggernauted Barbarian. So the full alpha damage is being dealt. Cashback with those 7 fighty tanks immediately forcing the issue.
Yeah, Cashback going in towards the cap circle, and they've rotated. They're going back towards the middle of the map with the 277, with the Bat Chat, with both 277s. In fact, they're looking for a fight here, and they may have found the overmatch, but Mafia are rotating back with everyone else as well, so it's just going to be a full North brawl with 7 tanks here. Marcel now is going to have to farm a buttload of damage here in his 430U.
Indeed, the 430U is going to be crucial, but first of all, YOLO is trying to evacuate, gets hugely punished on that cross, and Cashback still up in HP, now in full-on assault with all of those tanks. I think they're even going for the throat here of Marcel in that 430U. That is very singled out. Obviously, Little should be slowing down a little bit here just to be able to make those shots in his Bat Chat count, and indeed, that is exactly what he does. The 430U Marcel, he's trying to angle as much as he can. Little with the last shot in his clip, able to kill that 430U, and still Cashback, all of a sudden the HP advantage nowhere to be seen anymore here. They do need to keep fighting here, and they shut down the second tank.
They do manage to delete the E4 there, but Marcel did a lot of damage before he went down. Barkis was there in the background as well, farming away, but the HP is slightly in favor of Cashback. They've got more guns in the game. Now they're finding kills on towards Profuse. He's gone down to low HP with 900 health remaining. He needs to back up around the corner and try and survive. Conrad doing some good damage as well, clipping out on towards Aka in the 277, who gets tracked and held. Profuse does fall though, and it's actually a 5v3.
Indeed, a 5v3 here, 7 guns up and available for the team of Cashback, who are looking for the first time today to put themselves up a point as Barkis gets blown away and only 2 tanks remaining. Conrad has managed to reload at this point in time, but he cannot really count on the support of that T100, because as good as the T100 LT is in some situations, when it comes to DPM, when it comes to long-range fire support, that is absolutely not where this tank shines. So Cashback, if nothing goes completely awry, I'm gonna grant myself that disclaimer, should be putting themselves up around here and make it 3-2 match point.
I think the T100 is critical here. Like, the fact that it is a T100 and it's not a combat tank that can do effective damage. You look at how much HP that Cashback have remaining. It was a very, very scruffy push that they had to make. There was so many guns from Mafia aiming for that position, but somehow they managed to make it work. They did a great job in the factory area as well to pick up the kill on tanks like the E4, Profuse as well, in the 60 TP, of course. And what looked like a pretty good situation for Mafia ends up being a Cashback win.
Yeah, no, I think at the end of the day, it comes down to the lineups there. And basically, well, 2 lights against 0. And the team with 0 lights recognizing that, hey, we are fighting against a team that wants to play the long game, that is playing spotting oriented. We just need to immediately force the fight, force the issue, find the right engagements. And I think even though it didn't look clean or perfect, it still ended up working out because they were able to just overpower whatever resistance Mafia was able to muster close towards the cap.
Yeah, the double light, it doesn't work out. They did have the info available though, and that's why they were able to rotate into the positions. But you look at the damage spread across Cashback, keeping so many people alive. YOLO wasn't really able to do anything in the RHM. Kono was alive until the end of the game, but still only did 2.6, which kind of tells a story there. Orzek also getting caught out, only doing 2.3. So despite like the early bleed that the Cashback guns took, Eyes there and Little at the bottom, they sacrificed themselves for the team, right? They went in, they took the early damage, and they allowed everyone else to just keep the steamroll going.
In between a Cashback and a Mafia, Mafia want to fend off that match point that Cashback do have. Once again, double light tank, 1 E4, 1 E3, 1 430U, a Batchat, and a 60 TP. So again, playing pretty light is Mafia.
Yeah, Cashback are not doing that at all. There is very much a split between the two lineups in the philosophy. Cashback with a very exotic lineup. We've got 4 V4s, 4 268 V4s, 1 Foshby, and double bat. So they are looking for a fight.
Indeed, Cashback here looking for a fight once again. This time they have double Batchat, so they need to be kind of careful with that. Those are sort of a nimble but explosive hit squad. But of course, with these 4 V4s plus the Force B as well, yeah, they want to force the issue. Good plane coming out by, not sure which light it was by Mafia, but once again, they're playing with full info against what Cashback is doing.
Yeah, so they know exactly all the positions. The jig is up here, and Barbarian in the Fosh B being spotted out. I don't think that's what they would have wanted there, because it's kind of awkward to have a Fosh B all the way over there. He's got to drive in the middle of the open to try and get anything done, but you can see the way Cashback are positioning their tanks. They really want to go for this fight. Mafia are flanking in the south, though. The Batchat and T100 are flanking around. They're not going to be able to do anything too much at the moment, just a couple of pot shots. The cap has been started.
The cap indeed has been started, and Little has taken that artillery strike, so that's an asset taken away from the side of Mafia. Good shot here in towards Twilight. Not exactly sure where this one came from, but 12 seconds remaining. Mafia, they need to at some point commit someone in here. 6 seconds actually on the clock only, as Orzek starts off peeking, does get the reset in towards Twilight. So now Cashback, they're starting to get pummeled a little bit in those frontline brawling TDs, and I think this is why they decide, hey, if we're surrounded, that means pushing somewhere is going to net us what we want, and that is once again a direct brawl.
Yeah, and Marcel went forwards to try and get the resets on the cap, but that allows the Fosh B to come into play here. Barbarian and Squeezy, the Clipper tanks just going in on towards Marcel. If he went back up towards the top side, it would have been a little bit more awkward for them, but he will fall regardless, and that is exactly the kind of play that Cashback wanted. They're pushing on towards the middle. Barkiz is caught in no man's land. He's in the middle of the open in an E3. How did he end up there in that position?
I mean, he does kind of get caught out here as the ability runs out. That makes him a one-shot, possibly, and he does go down. All of a sudden, Kono finds himself in the midst of everything, but Conrad with the Batchat is also committed, and that, my friend, is a fully loaded Fosh B. That's, I think, currently unloading. Profuse able to get another kill somehow, so this is all of a sudden close again. Kono trying to do what he can, but after all, he is just a singular T100 that's battling out against a frontal Fosh B that doesn't get the track shot, however, so he's going to make it out, but they're playing from the back foot, 3v4.
Yeah, Cashback with the HP advantage. I think it might be over key. They've just got 2 tanks left in the light tanks, and the Fosh B just keeps on trucking. Akka is going to pick up that kill, which just leaves Kono driving around. He's been trying to do his best to distract the enemy and make them shoot him instead, but they just ignored him until the very end, and they send him back to the garage. That was a very, very clean round from Cashback. They knew exactly what they wanted. They went for the cap. They denied the strike. Even though Mafia had the info, even though they knew there was a Fosh B on the A line, they couldn't do anything about it because Marcel was forced to go close to try and get a reset.
And I believe the score is 4-2 right now, if memory serves correctly. So, yeah, Cashback here with the full... with the full read somehow what Mafia wanted to do. And like Mafia, I fail to understand a small little bit what the plan was here, because both rounds they did end up getting the full information, and both rounds somehow they still get caught off guard. And simply the playstyle of 0 light tanks versus 2 and just forcing the commitment, forcing the brawl, working out twice. So it seems like, you know, Cashback were like, all right, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And Mafia simply unable to adjust, and they do pay the price for it. 4-2 means no points for Mafia, 4 for Cashback.
It's very tricky when you play with a double light like that and Cashback go into the cap circle. because you have to find these reset angles, but it's very tricky to get those reset angles. And like we said, when you commit into a position to get the resets, that enables the trap to come into play. It enables the Foch B to find the impact in the game. But you have to imagine from the side of Mafia why they were trying to still play for the north of the map when they're split everywhere. They've got tanks on the A line, they've got a Batchat and T100 flanking from the south. They're just spreading themselves too thin across the map, and they end up not being able to hold any positions.
Yeah, exactly. And it felt like we were watching kind of a repeat of the first round on Studzianki. Because both rounds, for example, on the outside strike, the 430U ended up getting overpushed. Both times, Cashback were able to force the close range engagement, in which Mafia, no doubt, were going to lose at some point in time, because it was 7 fighting tanks against 5 plus 2 lights. So Cashback does take the 4-2 victory over Mafia. This is going to complete the EU part of the stream for today. However, we are not done yet,